Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me, your host, Tommy Gilbert, as we take a seat at the table with coaches and student athletes to get a behind-the-scenes look into Titan athletics. From in-depth breakdowns to fun stories, you can catch it all right here on Titan Table Talk. Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Ames Library podcast studio. It is a rather gloomy start to the week here in Bloomington, but a spectacular weekend for Titan athletics overall. We're going to have a chance to talk about some big victories this past weekend, to say the least. Some exciting upcoming events this coming weekend. We're going to start out with women's basketball and then jump to cross country and then finish up with women's volleyball. So very excited to welcome in senior Mallory Powers, junior Sara Balli from the women's basketball team. Welcome, ladies. How are we doing?
Good. Good.
Congratulations, for starters. For those of you who may have missed it in the commotion of the past week, a very big opening tournament for the women's basketball team this weekend up at Van Noord Arena, the Calvin Hope Classic, taking on, in fact, both of those schools. We'll start with Friday night, a 79-60 victory over Calvin. Traditional power in basketball for a long time, off to a little bit of a more difficult start this year, perhaps, but still, a challenging non-conference opponent to start the year. Sara, 15 points, 5 rebounds in that one for you. Mallory, 14 and 9. Give us a sense. I mean, this is obviously a group that's played together for a very long time, but hadn't seen the court in a real game since Wartburg, back in 8-9 months ago here. So give us a sense of what it was like to finally get out on the court together in a real game that counted, and you're not just looking at more green and white jerseys across from you.
Yeah, I would say like to start off, we played 2 really good D1 exhibition teams. I thought that really started us off for something that we've been chasing this whole year. We've always talked about, we always have a chip on our shoulder from last year's work game, and it was really fun to get out there and finally play against someone they don't see every day. And I haven't played Calvin my whole year here, so I thought that was really cool and exciting to get the opportunity. So yeah.
I mean, like Mal said, we had 2 really good D1 exhibition games. Stayed close both those games, and I think it's a lot of teams really want to beat us, so we had that chip on our shoulder. We're we don't want to lose, but we're also really prepared for that game. Our coaching staff is doing a really good job with scouting teams, so we knew their game plan, we knew what they were going to bring to the table, so we were also really prepared for that.
Yeah, and one of the nice things is, too, as you look at, our offense as a whole is a pretty difficult group to prepare for.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot of film out there at this point, and what all of you guys do well. But the reality is that, there were times you go back 3-4 years where it was kind of, if we're in trouble, the ball's going to 1 or 2 players.
Right.
And it is a much more balanced attack, I think, at this point. And there's no one on the floor who only does one thing well.
Right.
And that's the thing, when you look at, earlier in your career, probably more of a three-point shooter in general. But the reality is, when the 3 ball's not falling, you're still contributing to a great rebound. You can pass, you can go up and block a shot inside. Fierce defender. Sara, obviously, doing a lot of the same things well all over the place you've done throughout your career. There's a lot of very multi-talented skilled players out there, and a little bit of a positionless offense to a degree sometimes, depending on how it goes. Does that kind of give you almost more confidence out there at this point, knowing that if you're having an off day, you've got 6-7 other rotation players who have 4 different strengths each to pick up?
Yeah, I would say, I remember I looked up at the scoreboard at the end of both games, and I said, wow, we have 4 people in double digits, and there's the next player's at 9 or 8, still very high scoring. But it's nice to know that we have trust in each person on this team, that we don't care who scores the ball, we just want to get the job done.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the Calvin box score, you've got your leading scorer didn't even start the game, 15 points. Mallory's got 14. It's like the countdown. Lauren's 13, Ava's 12, Kate's 11.
Yeah.
Right there. There you go. And, Ava 4 steals contributing there. Laura 9 rebounds as well. Just a lot of filling up the box score from a lot of angles. The run and jump defense, of course, a Maya Smith staple. And when you look at that this weekend in particular, fast break creating points, 17-2.
Yeah.
Fast break points on Friday night, and I believe 16-1 on Saturday.
Yeah.
And that's the one sometimes, especially for players who haven't played as much in this, defensive scheme coming into the year. It can take a minute to pick up on and know where you need to be, so you're not giving up easy baskets the other way. Perhaps the beginning of this year a little bit different since you're really not trying to incorporate anyone new into the rotation. But how did you feel like you guys played defensively overall?
Overall, I thought we pushed teams to take early shots, and that's what we really want. We forced them to speed up their offense and speed up their game a little bit. I think that we just really have a lot of trust in each other for us to rotate out of it, and I think that's a key to the success for the R&J is we trust one another and we love to do it. So
yeah, and it's also not even if we get turnovers out of it, our coach is really adamant about just rushing them in general, because obviously if you feel rushed, you're gonna turn it over and make a bad play. So not even just getting points off of turnovers, but there were so many times where we would press and then they would throw past the corner and then just a quick wing shot or something like that, and it was just quick basketball and they'd be really rushed. So things like that too obviously helped us get quick transition points as well. So
yeah, those little things that when you're talking about the difference between holding a team to 44% shooting versus 34% shooting, just one little shot where you can force them into fade away in the corner, rushing and something off balance because they feel uncomfortable. It makes a big difference. Talk about the fast pace. I mean, it was very fast paced early. It was 23-22 at the end of the first quarter, and then everybody needed a breather for a minute, and then it calmed down a little bit, I think. But again, when you have essentially 8 starters, which is how those games played out this weekend, you got some fresh legs, and you play that lightning fast pace in the first quarter, and then boom, 16-0 run at the beginning of the second, and that game really kind of felt like it was in hand the rest of the way.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even know it was a 16-0
No, I didn't know that either.
We were all talking, we were saying that it didn't really feel like we were up by as much as we were because of how fast it was, but it was great that we won by double digits. So.
And we have 3 very good players that come off the bench, so there's always a fresh set of legs. Even if I come in for Mallory, she'll take a seat for 2 minutes and then she's ready to go. So somebody's always ready to come in and play, which is super nice.
Yeah, and that really pays special dividends, honestly, when you've got back-to-backs against good teams. Yeah. Which isn't going to happen a lot during the season necessarily, but it happens here, and it can happen in February, March.
Right.
And it's a really nice weekend to prepare yourself for that. And there's very few, preseason rankings are what they are. Hope's 9th and 12th, but very few programs over the last couple of decades have been more successful in any sport than Hope women's basketball. I mean, Brian Morehouse is starting his 29th season, and that was the 99th loss that Hope has had in 28 plus years under Brian Morehouse. So,
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's a team that is used to dominating opponents and obviously familiar with. But being able to go out there, shoot 48%, hold Hope to 34% on the second day. Both teams playing back-to-back. For sure, Hope played Loris? Was it Loris?
Yeah.
Okay. I was pretty sure. But particularly going into that game on Saturday night, were there any adjustments you guys felt like, okay, coming out of the Calvin game, there's a couple things we can do better going into Saturday? And then if so, what were you guys talking about in those meetings?
Our coach, we've been working on rebounding a lot. Obviously, we're not a super tall team. We have Katie Knudsen is our tallest player. She's just barely 6 foot. Hope had pretty big girls. We just, rebounding was the main thing. And then Calvin, too, they were pretty big. Rebounding was the main point for that game as well. I would just say rebounding overall was our main goal of that game.
I definitely agree. We always have been, not known, but we usually win the rebound war, and that's a big thing that we always want to win that rebound war. And another adjustment I think that we're wanting to make is our third quarter getting off to a better start. I thought we did a better job this game compared to the games in the past about starting a third quarter better, but overall it was awesome. So
I think we didn't win.
We didn't win the third quarter, but we usually give up the lead, and we didn't. We sustained our lead. So
it was Hope 21-16 in the third quarter, but the second quarter was the theme this weekend, that's for sure. We talk about, again, giving up some size of the Flying Dutch, as most people do, let's be honest, in general, but out-rebounding them 40-35. And when you've got guards who can jump and rebound and who go after the ball ferociously. sitting here talking to you, I don't need to tell you that. That's, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, and that's what's so critical is once you get the rebound out, we're always looking to run. Like, we always want transition offense as our first look. So once you get the rebound, you always have an outlet pass, and it's either you're getting a layup, you're shooting a 3-ball, or you're getting a mid-range jumper. So
yeah. And creating high percentage shots the other way and tiring out the defense at the same time. It's kind of the win-win, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So as you guys have kind of, we're now all of a sudden November 18th, like 2 games into the season, but a solid month into consistent practice. For a group that's gotten to play together a lot, you're starting, further ahead than most teams would be at this point in the year. How's it felt, going through practice and trying to get some of the newcomers, the freshmen, sophomores, looped into what you're doing, while at the same time, with a very senior and upperclassmen heavy rotation, knowing that, probably a lot of those newcomers may not get much of a chance this year, but we'll be looking at big minutes next year. And how have you guys worked to kind of bring that group into the team?
Yeah, so I would say when we first started our preseason work, we always, as like seniors and captains, we always show them drills that we do during practice so they're prepared. So that always brings like a cohesive environment, like them already knowing, which makes coach happy, which obviously always leads to a good outcome. But I just really feel like we just like take them under our wings. Like, we want them to be there with us because their moment could step up. Alyssa Epps comes into the ISU game, strains a 3. She comes into Calvin, gets a little minutes, drives to the lane. So, we have like people that can come in and just score. That's what is also a good thing. But I really feel like they have just like adapted to their role, and which is a really awesome like experience for them, and it's awesome for us that they are accepting that role and they want to do that role for us. So
I would say the same thing. They're adjusting really well. When we were teaching them those drills before our season actually started, they learned it right away. There was no like questions asked. Came into practice, they knew what they were doing. They're adjusting really well. It's just, I don't know, this year obviously we have a bunch of upperclassmen, so next year I'll be here. We're gonna need them, so yeah.
And we always say that our green team, we wouldn't be the same if we didn't have the white team for us. They're always our practice players. They always give everything every single day because they want to beat us. They want to beat the green team. So we wouldn't be who we are without that white team.
It'd make us a lot better.
Yeah. So before we wrap things up here, we got a couple minutes, and just as you look back, as 3+, 2+ years veterans of this program now, as you look back at kind of your first 2-3 years here, hopefully we create a lot of great memories this year. But any particular ones that stand out, whether it's on or off the court, or kind of favorite moments as you start to reflect on?
Good question.
I would say one of my favorite moments of like my 4 years here was beating Millikin at their spot, or at their place my freshman year for the CCIW Championship. That was an awesome game. And then we get into the tournament, face DePaul first game, and Kate Palmer hits the dagger 3 that sends us to the play Whitewater the next day. That was one of the best moments that I've ever experienced in my life. So, but I wouldn't, ever since that, the memories are lasting a lifetime. Us playing, getting these like 8 girls in this rotation has been awesome, and I don't know, I wouldn't change it for anything. So, yeah.
I would say my favorite memory is beating Carroll at Carroll last year. They had a huge crowd there. I'm not even kidding. Right behind our basket, just like the whole football team basically, just like chirping the whole game. And we were down that game, I'm pretty sure, like 10 or something. Mm-hmm. And we've been known to just not play our best at Carroll. It's just been an ongoing thing. Mm-hmm. And we won, and it was just like a great feeling to beat them there with all those people there. But I would also say one other of my favorite moments is we lost this game, but playing Millikin at home last year, it was just the environment was insane. Yeah. Really good game. So many people came up to us after the game like, hey, like, we know you guys lost, but that was like the best basketball game I've ever seen. Like, that was so fun to watch. But yeah, I would say those two. Beating Carroll probably being my number one because we won that game. But
yeah, and to go along with that, that's the first time I've ever beat Carroll at Carroll in my career. So that was also
me as well.
Big
but
moment.
I was a sophomore, so
yeah.
I just didn't. But yeah.
Yeah, that Millikin, that was a Wednesday night January game, and I'd have to go back and look, but I'd have to think there were like 1,700 people.
There was so many people there.
Wild.
So many students.
Cool. It was so cool.
And that was a lightning fast first half in particular, pace-wise, from what I remember. But that's honestly, that's the kind of game that, you want to win it, but you come away from that, going, this is a pretty special place and rivalry at that time, and B, you got hundreds and hundreds of people in the stands, probably a couple hundred who had never been to a Titan women's basketball game before, given that you've got a lot of freshmen and sophomore students who may have been at their first one.
Right.
You go to that game and think, this is awesome. I'm coming back every time.
Well, and then after that game, we always had people at our, even before that, we had people at our games. But after that game, it was just like that whole section would just be packed with students. And I think the Millikin game was like when everybody was like, wow, like they're pretty good.
Good and fun and exciting. Believe it or not. Well, good luck this week. We got practice on the docket, and then the home opener against Edgewood. That is a 1 p.m. tip on Saturday. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Good deal. I was pretty sure. I know I won't be. That's one of the 2 games I won't be at this year, so I was pretty sure it was 1 o'clock. But 1 o'clock tip against Edgewood to open up the home slate, and then heading up to Whitewater next week. But a fairly practice-heavy week this week, and enjoy the few days of not having to travel and getting to play at Shirk on Saturday. But good luck this week. Congrats on an awesome pair of season opening victories.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Thanks for having
us.
I can see it now. The smell of the grass on the quad. That sense of excitement in the air each fall. It feels like yesterday. While I'm no longer 18, I know there are students out there ready for an opportunity like I had. For the space to discover passions, bond over dreams, and make lifelong friends. Breakthrough at Illinois Wesleyan University.
And welcome back. Our second guest of the day is Adriana Crabtree, junior on the women's cross-country team, and repeat guest here on Titan Table Talk from last year, I believe. Welcome back, and congratulations on another great performance, not just at conference, but at, of course, regionals this past weekend.
Thank you.
Very exciting showing overall for both the men's and women's teams. It seemed like 5th place finish for the women overall, the highest for a women's team at regionals in 12 years since the 2012 team placed 3rd. 16th place finish for the men, and then 4 all-region finishers. Nick Fish, 32nd on the men's side, highest finish for a Titan male in 22 years. 13th for yourself, 25th for freshman Maddie Morgan, and 27th for your longtime running buddy Annalise Chudy. How'd you feel like it went as a team overall this weekend?
I mean, we performed really well. We performed to the best of our ability. Our goal going in was to get 5th. Wheaton was ranked over us. They beat us at conference by a little bit. So we really wanted to go out there and kind of show everyone what we had left in us for regionals. And I think we did a great job of that. To get 5th, we ended up beating Wheaton. It's our goal at the beginning of the season was hopefully make it to nationals. Last year they took 4 teams. This year they only took 3. So that 5th place, there's nothing but good stuff coming. So yeah, really excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way the selection process looks for nationals, they take the winning team from every region, then 22 additional at-large teams, and then you have the top 7. Is it top 7 from each region individually who are not on one of those advancing teams that goes? So you were actually the last one on that cut line there. Yeah. Did you know on Saturday night? Did you have a pretty good sense Saturday night that you were probably going to be in, or was it very much we got to wait and see on Sunday?
I think it was very much wait and see. I think Huff kind of wanted me to. I mean, he kind of told me it was good odds, but I think he just kind of let it be, and he was like, "I'm gonna let you know how it ends up." And I was just waiting. Everything was done, so it was just waiting to see. Yeah.
So in that case, obviously for the team selections, you're used to seeing the selection shows. For the mix of team and individual sports, usually just released from the NCAA. So how did you actually find out, I'm going back for a second straight year?
Yeah, so Huff got an email and he sent me a text. And he was like, "Congrats, you're in." And then I was like, "Oh." that's exciting. And then he was like, try not to make it so close next time, because the girl right in front of me was a half second before me. So I barely rushed through, so he was just laughing. But yeah.
Yeah, and it's cool. Obviously, you've been running with Annalise for a long time. Maddie Morgan, a freshman newcomer to the team, only 4 spots out of an at-large individual bid herself. Was that a surprise coming into the weekend? Was that perhaps better than she thought she had in her this weekend, or was that?
I mean, it may be better than she thought she had in her, but we all knew. Like, honestly, everyone on the team, but Maddie has shown what she's capable of since the beginning. So I'm not surprised at all that she was able to run in the mid 22 minutes. Had I think over a 30-second PR. She's always there when we need her. So yeah. She's been doing a great job as a freshman, and I mean, she'll continue. Hopefully she'll be at nationals next year, and yeah, we'll have another buddy. So.
There you go. Exciting stuff. So give us a sense, like obviously at the Saukey Golf Course up in Rock Island, a course that you're pretty familiar with. In a sport where you only have a handful of races every year, is that the course you've raced the most in your collegiate career, at least, over these 3 years? Or is there any place you've been more than that, other than maybe Maxwell?
Yeah, I'd say honestly, probably the second. I think we've been to, now I'm forgetting what it's called, but it's the Wheaton course, where we always run at conference.
St. James Farm.
James Farm, yeah. St. James Farm, I feel like we've been to maybe a few more times, but yeah, Augie's up there. We usually do it twice a year, so yeah, it's a good.
Any particular strategy for you coming in on a course you're obviously very familiar with, in a field where you're familiar with quite a few of the other runners out there you'll be competing with? Any particular game plan for you coming into this weekend? Or?
Yeah, it really depends. I think I compete better like based off like people and place versus like time. I like to be able to see people and kind of go for them. So going in, Huff gave me you should try to be top 10 or whatever, like I think you're fully capable. And so that mindset going in of like go out with everyone, and Elise did a great job of taking me out. We work very well together in races, and she pulls me at the beginning, and then we both just like take it from there. So yeah, that was kind of the strategy. I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of just go out and run, and it hurts a lot, but yeah.
Yeah, it hurts a lot. Let's put that on a T-shirt right there. Be at your best on the front. It hurts a lot.
It hurts a lot on the back.
When you look at this coming weekend, obviously just the 1 week turnaround between regionals and the national championship race in Terre Haute, Indiana, Laverne Gibson course in Terre Haute, kind of cool in that most cross country courses are on a golf course in a park, something like that. Here you've got a course that was specifically and exclusively designed for cross country and for high level cross country. Has hosted 15 national championships at various levels, tons of regional and state championships, high school, collegiate, etc. A place you've been once before, and just the once earlier this year. Is that correct?
Yeah. So a lot of our girls have been there multiple times, just like if they did Nike Cross Regionals, which is, Nationals. No, NXR, Nike Cross National Regionals. Sorry.
Well, we can write the acronym on the wall. If that helps.
NXR. Yeah. But so they've like been there before and experienced the course. But it was my first time going earlier this season to race, and it's just a very cool atmosphere with it just being a cross country course. Where we went when we did it, it was like we did a race at night, so there was under the lights, really cool. With a lot of good teams, ran really fast. So I really like the course. The backstretch gets a little like hard. Like around the 4K when everyone starts like feeling it is when the course gets a little bit harder. But the kind of start is downhill, which I actually really liked. So personal preference, but I really like that course. So I'm excited that it's there.
And my understanding is it's built so that basically spectators can kind of see most or all of the course from anywhere.
Yeah.
I could have Googled more pictures than I did, but obviously that's one of the main drawbacks of cross country as a sport as like a parent, is that it's hard to watch your athlete the whole way. It's kind of the run over here and I can see them over there, run over here, I can see them over there. Is this really that much of a different experience spectator-wise? Is it based on how it's built?
I didn't really get it from the spectator perspective when I was there, But it seemed to be everyone could be at multiple places, and the course kind of like did a circle, which I guess most courses do, but this one seemed to be a lot more like available for people to get from place to place very quickly. But I don't know. That's a question for Huff, because he's always running, or my parents. But
I was going to say, I mean, between Huff and your parents running all over the place, I think they can all handle it. But yeah, it's it's just interesting because the handful of cross country meets I've been at in my life, it's usually been Maxwell, and it's kind of you have to pick your spot strategically.
Yes, and you see the runners maybe for like 15 seconds of the race. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the same really for any course that's built on a golf course, because you have to avoid certain stuff. You can't be running across the greens. You can't be doing that stuff. So you kind of have to build it around what's already there. So I know for many may be familiar, but not necessarily with kind of all the stuff that you've been through, injury-wise in particular, since the end of last track season. And I think there's maybe a time, not to put words in your mouth, but it was not such a foregone conclusion that, I'm going to have another great cross-country season this fall. I'm going to be able to run really well. Congratulations, we're there. We did it. But give us a little sense of kind of what these last several months going back to last spring have been like for you, and what you've had to do to get yourself back and ready to go.
Yeah, so I partially tore my PCL and had a bunch of microfractures in the top of my tibia from going over a steeplechase water jump beginning of the season in spring. So it was a few months of recovery from that, a lot of time on the bike. Not very fun, but it was worth it. I felt like coming off of it, I was still like relatively in shape. And then I actually chose to study abroad over the summer. So I went to Costa Rica for 8 weeks, where the places to run were limited. So my mileage over the summer was not what it would have been if I was here. But I mean, Huff was great of like making it work. He was like, we'll make it happen. Then coming back at the very beginning of the season, I had some quad issues, so I was back on the bike. And at that point, we didn't know what the season was going to look like. It was more like, I think the focus going in was helping the team. I wasn't even really thinking about nationals a whole lot. Obviously, I was like, hopefully I can pull it out, but really wanted to just do it for the team. And it ended up working out, and I'm glad it did. But one of those things where I'm more happy for the team. I mean, I'm glad I qualified, but I would be just as happy for how we all did at regionals. So.
Yeah, and that's this women's team the last couple of years has been such a successful, but also at least from the outside looking in a little bit, a very close-knit group, and a group that really enjoys running together and spending time together, and knowing that when you're sitting there on the bike in the middle of May or in the middle of September, or sitting there aqua jogging in the diving well or something like that, that it's not just like, oh, I'm trying to do this to qualify for nationals or try to win a CCW title, knowing that, okay, I've got a whole bunch of other girls who are depending on me, and the best I can be is the best I can be on any given day, and whatever that is going to help. I think it's nice to have that extra little bit of motivation in your mind, but really, as you all of a sudden look ahead to the end of junior and then senior year, and taking even more of a leadership role in the track and cross country programs, like you have a lot of runners that deal with lower body injuries at times over their 4 years, and being able to provide mentally, I think, some of that perspective of, okay, this is what I felt like day to day, and sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not, and being able to be that example of like, okay, yeah, talented runner, hard worker, all that stuff is great, but like someone who's, if you're looking at a freshman or sophomore who's hurt, someone who's a leader on the team who's been there before and can empathize with what they're feeling day to day. It's not fun for you going through that, but I think it's a hugely valuable experience. And I don't know if you've already kind of been able to see that to some degree. Or?
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. It kind of puts a whole new perspective on it. The amount of hours spent in the pool, the amount of hours spent on the bike, it's lonely. Like, it's just hard. But so many people go through it, and it's just hard to, like, before, like, being like, oh, like, it would suck to be injured. But then you don't really understand how much time and effort every person that's injured goes through to, like, get back to where they were. It's a lot of hours of commitment, and it definitely puts into perspective of like being able to recognize there's a lot of our freshman girls on our cross-country team have been injured this season, and just like making sure to check in on them, like talk to them after practice. When we're all out on runs, they're in the pool or on the bike like alone. So it's just like making sure to check in, like listen to what they have to say, because it just gets hard, and it's hard when you know that all of your teammates are out on a run or like doing stuff together and you're just kind of on the side. So yeah, definitely puts it into perspective. But yeah, kudos to everyone that's been hurt, because it's not easy.
Yeah, and to some degree, though, you know, it does make those little moments like this weekend, CCW meet, everything a little sweeter, because you know what you had to go through to get there, and being able to do that with your team is, I mean, it's as good as it gets right there. So congratulations again on an awesome regional race this past weekend. Congrats to the entire team, of course. 11 a.m. Eastern is the start this weekend out in Terre Haute. All the details at iwsports.com. Check it out. All the best of luck to you this weekend. Hope we have one more great race in you.
Thank you.
It's time to play Did You Know with Illinois Wesleyan. First off, true or false? On average, over half of tuition for accepted students is covered by scholarships and grants. True. IWU invests more than $40 million in scholarships and grants for students each year. Where has IWU ranked in highest earning graduates among small schools in Illinois? If you guessed number 1, you got it. And what's even better, IWU is the number 1 college in Illinois for getting a job and number 7 in the nation. Last question, how much does it cost to apply to Illinois Wesleyan? If you said nothing, well, you're right. There's absolutely no application fee. So what are you waiting for? Visit, apply, and see all the opportunities for success that await you at Illinois Wesleyan University.
Welcome back, and for our final 2 interviews of this week 12, it is time to talk some women's volleyball, and we'd like to welcome in our middles first starters. It is sophomore Eleanor Palmer, junior Hannah Tellor. Congratulations, first of all, on a spectacular weekend.
Thank you.
Couldn't have had much more fun on Shirk on Saturday afternoon than we did, I think, but we're going to first rewind because there was a big match on Thursday that had to win to get there to begin with. North Central gave us a really tough battle earlier this fall up in Naperville, a 5-set victory up there. Obviously a little bit of an easier time with the Cardinals as a whole coming in on Thursday night. Pleasant surprise, got me home for dinner a little bit earlier. But what were the adjustments you guys were looking to make both offensively and defensively coming off a really tough test up at North Central against a really good team?
Yeah, I think that they were definitely a little easier the second time around, but I think that mainly was from us and just being able to control like our side of the court and decreasing our errors and the amount of runs that we let them go on. And I think overall it was just a super consistent match for us, and that definitely helped.
Yeah, I mean, from the beginning of like the start of the week and everything, we were just really anticipating, playing against the Cardinals, and I think this round we really understood them and kind of what their team and their offense and defense brought to the game, and kind of took it to them and really used that momentum for our Saturday game because we knew how much and how important it would be. Yeah,
and really nice evenings for both you and a 3-set victory, 9 kills, 3 blocks for Hannah, hitting 400 to do that. Eleanor hit 500, 7 kills, 2 blocks, trying to stop the Berrickman sisters and trying to stop Abby from the outside a little bit, and really, kind of be able to take away their number 1 option as best you can. How did you feel like you played defensively overall, trying to get some hands up against a really tough outside hitter?
I thought we did a lot better this time around. They run a super quick offense, so I think that seeing it a second time, it was a little bit easier to pick up, and we practiced it all week, just getting to the pins as quick as possible. So I think that preparation really helped us.
Yeah, I mean, props to our servers. Like, they did a great job of kind of taking them out of system. And, you know, at that point, they only had, like, 1 out of 2 options and half the rotations and 1 option, like, within the other 3. So that helped a lot.
Yeah, and I know Kim and a couple of you guys have talked about really trying to be a team that serves aggressively,
Yes.
but also is able to give you a lot of different looks at the service line. I mean, you've got everything from Alex and Tellor throwing fastballs at the back line to Sophie hitting 29-mile-an-hour knuckleballs over the top of the net. So a lot of variety there. But then fast forwarding now, less than 48 hours later, time to turn around and really play for all the marbles against Millikin on Saturday. Big Blue coming into that, knowing that, I mean, obviously you want to play to win the conference tournament, but knowing that they're in. By NPI, they were pretty safe. Wasn't going to be the case for us. That was a absolute must-win match to keep the season alive in front of the home crowd. Earlier that day, Friday night, Saturday morning, a team you've obviously already beaten once at home. What are the vibes like that morning, locker room wise? A lot of nerves, a lot of like, we got this, we know what we have to do.
I think that everybody was super pumped up and really locked in and focused, and I think that just that excitement about it being Millikin, and it just carried us all the way. But there were a little bit of nerves, but I think that the excitement really overtook those.
Yeah, and I think it was just kind of nerves, like just get out on the court again and just, dress and get ready, feel the energy and sort of just take it all in. I think that was a lot where the anxiety came from, and I think it was just so awesome and so relieving to sort of go that far and really earn our win on Saturday.
Yeah, and really the first 2 sets were very, very tight the whole way. I think we had about a 5-point lead there, 17-12 in the middle of the first set, won at 26-24. It was very back and forth second set, 23-25 to tie it up. The third and fourth sets were a little bit of a different beast because Big Blue got out to a significant advantage in both of those. That third set, Millikin led 6-0, 8-1.
Yes.
An early timeout right there. And then, kind of clawed the way back into it, within 3, within 2, within 4, a lot of the rest of the way, but still trailing 22-18. What's the mindset in the box or out in the court, either way, when you're sitting there looking up at a team that is really talented, and you know from an 8-1 deficit right there, you have to beat them 24-15, 16, whatever the rest of the way, and that's a tall task. What's the particular message in the huddle?
We know they're not going to go away, they're not going to let up, but I think for us it's really just focusing on 1 point at a time. If we can just keep winning the next point, that's something that Kim really emphasizes during timeouts, is that don't even look up at the scoreboard, because while it does matter, it really doesn't, in just focusing on the next point.
Yeah, it's just sighting out efficiently as fast as we can, ultimately. And I know me and Hannah, we've been really working hard to make ourselves available for our setters and for the offense. And I think when it comes down to it, those are some of the most important points of the game and, really big momentum changers.
Yeah, and when you're, looking up at that deficit and then all of a sudden, okay, it's 22-18, we're still in this, and then you rip off a 5-point run with a couple of those Sophia Feeney knuckleballs, back-to-back aces there within that 5-point run. It's not that you always need a confidence boost sitting out there necessarily. I think by this point in the season and with this team, both mentally and physically, you have it in you, but knowing that you can come back from that type of thing, it does make it maybe a little easier to shrug off that fourth set as okay. I mean, it's 23-8, whatever, and then 25-10, and that's that, and got to go get them in set number 5. And the fifth set, I think it was a 2-point advantage at one point, but that was no timeouts taken. That was just a battle the entire way, 1 or 2 point set the whole way. 17 kills for you, Hannah, along with 3 blocks, hit 382, 3 kills and 7 blocks, Eleanor. 15 and 10 for Tellor on what fortunately does not appear to be a serious injury.
Yeah.
It was a
Crossing
brief
our
moment
fingers.
of
Yeah.
brief moment of major concern there, and we'll knock on all the wood there is. But I mean, 12 kills, 15 digs for Alex, a double for both of them. Abby and Sophie, 25 and 23 assists. You get 21 digs from Cannon Boyd back there on the back line. And two, you see a little bit more of the depth when you have some struggles there in the third and fourth set. Get Alyssa in there on the back line at times, just to get a second defensive specialist in there. You get Morgan in there. You get Jordan hitting quite a bit, as she has been lately. What's it like, when you have to make some of those little in-game adjustments to even just switch something up out there? What is that vibe like for you guys when, we have to, even when Izzy coming in for Tellor there for a little bit, so you got a freshman, sophomore who have not seen the court in the last 2 hours, walking out there suddenly in the middle of a fourth or fifth set in a huge match. Anything you guys can do to kind of keep everybody calm and get them right back in the flow of the match, or is it really just you know what you can count on and they're going to be there for you?
I feel like you said, it really just shows the depth of our team, and there's so many people that you can look to on the bench to come in, and I'm fully confident in everybody who gets put in, and props to them for coming in a tight situation and just doing what they're asked and doing their job and coming in with a fresh attitude that they're there to do a job and they're going to get it done. It's amazing that they're able to do that, and we're so grateful and thankful to have that sort of depth on our team.
Yeah, and obviously there is a comfort level you have with, being in that consistent lineup, but I think it's just, kind of when you see some mishaps happen, you're just, the more the merrier. Let's get everyone involved, let's switch things up, let's see, what everyone's capable of, and I think it's great when things like that work out that way, and new faces and new people sort of leading and being a part of it.
And then leading, of course, into this weekend, had a nice relaxing, hopefully Sunday, knowing that you're in, knowing it's just wait and see where you're going on Monday. And we're filming this a couple hours after the selection show, so it is Franklin and Marshall, first round match out at Marietta on Thursday. But Hannah, obviously in your first year at Wesleyan, but drawing on pretty extensive national tournament experience at ICC the last couple of years. Anything that you would take from that experience of getting to play at a national level tournament twice in the past 24 months?
I think those 2 times I went to nationals, they were just such great experiences, and I feel like I took from that just enjoying every game that you get with your team, because you never know when it's going to end, and I'm just super excited to be able to have a similar experience here and just hope for the best and cherish every moment that I get with the team.
Yeah. And speaking of, cherishing moments and big moments in one's lives, it is a birthday today, and we have to, and I realize this won't air on your birthday, but since we're at least doing the interview today on Monday, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Any exciting plans this weekend, next weekend, whatever, aside from NCAA tournament, or is this all volleyball focused
That's
here?
what I was going to say, volleyball. First semester, that's my life, so, and I'm happy for it, so yeah, it's been great.
We get to celebrate with a trip to Marietta, Ohio this weekend, and get to celebrate in a big way on Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening with that win over Millikin. So that's a pretty good present, I think.
No, I'd
personally.
say so, for sure.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk to Coach Nelson Brown next, and we'll do a little bit more of a preview of this upcoming weekend. But congratulations again on the 8th NCAA tournament berth in program history, CCW regular season and tournament championships. Go get them this weekend. We'll be cheering for you.
Thank you.
Scott inside the numbers near side of the 8, straight ahead across the 15 to the 20, 25, 30. Down the sidelines, he has the 41 man to beat. He's across the 50, down the 30, 25, 20. He is gone. Touchdown, Illinois Wesleyan.
That steps in, that's up the middle, and the Titans win the game. Awards, and this one is belted out to left field. It's at the wall, and that one's gone. Yeah, dangerous indeed, Luke.
Arno wins the face-off, and it's Tristan Seeley up top, lower left 90.
And welcome back. As you may be able to tell from the change of outfit and the sun shining in now, it is Tuesday morning as we're recording this. Kim Nelson Brown, welcome. We're going to continue our chat about volleyball coming up this weekend. 6 a.m. departure time tomorrow for Marietta, so we're counting down there. But first of all, congratulations. First NCAA berth in 3 years, CCW tournament and regular season titles. Tell us a little bit about this week. We broke down the North Central and Millikin matches a little bit yesterday with the middles, but from your perspective as a coach?
Obviously, North Central was last Thursday in the semifinal match, and the first time we played, we went 5 sets, so we kind of anticipated another 5-set match with them, and obviously I was really pleased with how determined our team came out and really focused and stuck to our game plan and executed, and so we were able to beat North Central in 3, and that felt great. Obviously, we had anticipated a little bit more, so to see our team follow through, it was outstanding. Millikin, that was fun. I mean, what a match. And, I remember at one point I was telling Mike Wagner in the 5th set, I was like, you know what, I'm proud of these. I mean, this is a match. This is a championship level match that was being played. To win the first set, obviously, I think we led the entire time in the first set. The second set, we were down pretty much the entire time, but lost 25-23. I mean, we gave it a nice little chance at the end, but we were just playing from behind the entire set. Third set, called a timeout at 0-6, and then again at 13-18, and then we ended up winning 25-23. And I really felt like that was a pivotal set for us mentally. I was proud of the grit that they showed and tenacity. I mean, we just kept saying chip away, and they did that. And so extremely proud of them. Obviously, we came back out in set 4 and kind of went into a hole again. And Taylor went down, so there was a little bit of confusion there for a little bit and what was going to happen. And proud of her for sticking through. I mean, she's a tough kid. So to see her basically tell me I'm not coming off the floor, it's like, we may not have a choice here. So, she's that was just good to see her come through. But in the 5th set, it was weird. Like when we started it and just looked around in the huddle at the beginning, just felt very confident because I could see it in their faces. I could see it in their eyes that they truly believed that they could win that set. And we went point for point. And obviously a thriller there at the end, winning 15-13.
Yeah, I think that 5th set at one point we led 4-2, and I think that was the only 2-point separation between the teams at all until 15-13.
Until the end of the game, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Obviously, facing 2 teams that you've seen already within the last 4 to 6 weeks, they're trying to make some adjustments against you. You're trying to make some adjustments against them. When you're preparing for Millikin in particular, for the second time in about a month and a half, knowing how talented they are, knowing that they're coming in, knowing that they have a berth locked up, but trying to give everything they have to win the conference tournament. What was your plan of attack offensively first against them?
We knew we had to stop Higgins on the right side, which we didn't. She's a phenomenal hitter, and she did a great job. It was serving aggressively, and really if we could slow down their middles, because if their middles and their right side get going, they're just really tough to defend. And so we knew they were going to get their kills. It was just coming up with different ways to score and serve aggressively behind the line. And I think the sets that we lost, so we didn't do that. The sets we won, we did. And so it was awesome to see them execute that in those sets. I also felt like our players did a great job defensively. We found ways to slow down balls on the block, and then we also just played some great defense. And statistically, Millikin won that match. Yep. But I do truly believe we came up with the kills and the blocks and the digs at the perfect time, and that helped us secure the match.
Yeah, and when you have that 25-10 fourth set, that's going to throw that off a little bit too, for sure.
And I know we out-hit them in the 5th set, which obviously ultimate set. So that was, I think it was 4-something to 125 or something like that. I mean, it was a significant hitting difference. They just hit more consistently for the match as a whole.
Yeah, and when you talk about trying to come up with some answers, at least in the middle on defense, Eleanor 7 blocks, Hannah 3 blocks. That's a lot of hands up there. And when you talk about a number of balls they were at least able to get fingertips on and deflect and give both Cannon and Alyssa a little bit there in the back row, Alex and Taylor, whoever was back there, a better chance.
They did. I mean, and we talk about positive block touches in practice a lot of times. And, we would all love a stuff block and we'd love to see it terminated. But the reality is if we can slow it down some way, we have a chance because offensively we can find a way to score. So I thought both of our middles were impactful in that way, and also offensively. Yeah. They both came through for us from an offensive standpoint.
I mean, Hannah and Eleanor, as we talked about, hit 400 and 500 on Thursday night against North Central. Hannah, 17 kills and 382 against. I mean, that's it's hard to find an answer for that.
Correct.
And that's, it's not like you've got a 6'4" middle standing in there either. I mean, she can jump a little bit, but it's being able to put the ball down 6 feet over the net.
Yes, she's got a really good arm swing. She has a great snap. She's just has great court sense, and that's just something that comes naturally for her. And she's athletic. She can play all 3 positions in the front row. We need her in the middle this year, and she stepped up.
Yeah. Looking ahead to this weekend, first appearance in the NCAA tournament for just about everyone on the team, with the exception of the senior crew that was there back in 2021, and a little bit of a different role then, but still hopefully some experience they can apply to it. The schedule for this weekend, we've got the 4:30 p.m. Eastern time game, 4:30 Eastern on Thursday. Wisconsin Oshkosh and Marymount will take the 11:30 Eastern slot. 2 p.m. is U Chicago and Center. 4:30 Franklin and Marshall against Illinois Wesleyan, and then the 7 p.m. slot is Marietta and St. John Fisher. Marietta, the host seed, despite being the number 2. As that bracket was being unveiled yesterday, less than 24 hours ago.
One of the whole tournament, yes.
Well, Tyler and I were sitting in here watching the selection show, getting ready to interview Adriana. Otherwise, obviously, I would have been sitting there in the room with you guys. But we're sitting there, we see Hope come up. I'm like, all right, this could be us. We see Whitewater come up. I'm like, all right, this could be us. No. Thoughts on the placement, ultimately, what you saw out of the 3 pods that we could have been sent to, and what your thoughts are on this matchup on Thursday?
Yeah, I think we were all kind of at that point, like, where are we going? And then when Oshkosh popped up, but they didn't have an asterisk, I'm like, okay, where are they shipping us? Because we kind of thought maybe potentially WashU might get a hosting ability. And then when they were assigned, I can't remember where they're going, Hope or Whitewater, we knew at that point, we're like, okay, that's not an option either. We kind of thought Oshkosh would be another host site possibly. But again, it all comes down to regional teams and where they're driving from. They only like to do 6 flights. So Oshkosh was the 6th flight into Marietta. I'm pleased with our draw. I mean, I think we're going in there and we've seen Chicago, we've seen Center, but we haven't seen anybody else. It's some great teams that have had a lot of success this season. So, I think we have our work cut out for us. But at the same time, I feel like we're in a really good position going into this. We're a 6th seed, which obviously not ideal, but if we didn't win on Saturday, we wouldn't be playing. So we'll take whatever we can, and we'll just have to work our way through the bracket, and hopefully one match at a time we can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. As you look at kind of, the way things shook out nationally, obviously, you knew Millikin was going to be in from the CCIW regardless. You knew we had to get the automatic bid. This is the first year, of course, the NPI system. Do you want to give the people who may not know how that's done kind of the quick overview of how the at-large bids were selected this year?
Yeah, so they implemented the NPI, which is basically a computer-based program, and honestly, I haven't figured out the whole formula yet. I'm trying to figure that one out because I've always been one to do a lot of strength of schedule, and that really hasn't come into play so much this year. So the NPI basically ranks you in a percentage, and so everybody was ranked 1 through 422 teams, and automatic qualifiers automatically count for the 43 of the bids out of 64, and so there's 21 at-large bids. And then basically it goes down in order. So we knew who was in the tournament on Sunday. So that kind of, you lose a little bit of that excitement that we used to have over those years if you were earning an at-large bid, like, am I in, am I not in? So that's kind of lost a little bit, but you're still on the edge of where are we going, who are we playing, that kind of fun thing. So the NPI really kind of told everyone on Sunday night who's in, who's out, and then we just waited for the show on Monday. Yeah. So it was fun. It's been crazy.
Little different atmosphere than, obviously, again, we knew we were in, but than some of the times we were sitting there going, okay, your last 4 in, first 4 out, and at some point it would come down to the regions too.
Well, our region is really tough.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people will say that we probably have one of the toughest regions in the country, and I would agree with that. When you look at 64 teams going to an NCAA tournament, 20 are coming out of the Midwest, 12 of them are coming from our region alone. Yeah. There's not another region out there that has 12 teams, I believe. And so it just shows how strong our conferences, or our region is. When you have the Wisconsin schools, you have our conference, you have the Northern Athletic Conference, you have the Chicago and WashU, and then we have the HCAC. There's a lot of strong teams coming out of here, and you're just sitting here going, okay, in previous years, I think in one way the NPI has helped us, because I think in previous years, the NCAA regional committees would only rank the top 7, but a lot of times you would go to 8 or 9. And I would say when it got to the national call, nobody really wanted to give our region more than 6 at-large bids. Well, we got more than 6 this year with the NPI. So I think it's balancing a little bit and helping out our region in some regards, so that's good.
Yeah, when you look at it, I'm sure the job they had making that Whitewater Regional, not just the WIAC tournament.
Yes, exactly. 5 teams from the WIAC.
Yeah, it's tough to do. We'll let you go. We'll let you go prepare and unload the 400 pounds of snacks that you have in the back of the
Yeah, you saw my end of my car. Thank goodness for SUVs.
The SUV for this weekend, but early departure tomorrow, Wednesday morning for volleyball, and it is a 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Central tip on Thursday afternoon against Franklin and Marshall. First round of the NCAA tournament. Good luck, Coach. Thanks for joining us.
I appreciate it. Thanks.